if you're having a passion or if you're drawn to starting a business or having you just a more of a creative outlet,
Mm-hmm.
just do it. Just pursue it. Make it a priority. You won't regret it, honestly. Like if even if you fail and fall flat on your face and it doesn't work out, you will learn from it and you won't regret it.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, mompreneurs, to the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast, where we talk about everything business and motherhood. I'm grateful to be here with you today as your host, Angela Mishuli, so I can bring you this interview with the wonderful Tiffany Collette, the founder of Tiffany Co Design Studio, and you're not going to want to miss our special announcement at the end of this episode, so be sure to stick around for that. And first, I want to invite you to remember to leave a review for the podcast. It helps other mompreneurs find the podcast. It really helps us know that we're creating content that resonates with you. And then, two, be sure to follow the podcast because we have amazing interviews coming to you every week, and you're not going to miss one of them if you subscribe. It gives you a little notification when a new episode is released, and it's totally free. Then, too, if you're loving this episode or other episodes, please share them with anybody that you know who would benefit from them. Thank you so much. I love receiving messages almost every week from listeners who find an episode that impacts them. It means so much. So don't be a stranger. If you're loving this podcast, reach out, share, help us continue to create that community that supports mom business owners. So in this episode, I talk about several things with Tiffany Collette. We talk about her story and how she started with one business, and during the pandemic, she shifted to another, and she had very young children. So I love her story about how she had to do what she had to do. She went with her gut. And I know you're going to love it too. So we talk about other things, about the digital products that she creates, how she overcame imposter syndrome, and then too, her experience with life coaching and how it became the focus of her new business. So without further ado, here's my interview with Tiffany Collette, the founder of Tiffany Co Design Studio. Welcome to the podcast, Tiffany. I am so excited to talk to you today because you're a mom, you're a graphic design expert. I love your designs. And you're the owner of Tiffany Co Design Studio, and you create game-changing social media and business resources primarily for coaches, and you help coaches with their content strategy and branding. So, welcome to the
Yeah,
podcast. Thank you for talking to me today.
thank you. It's good to be here.
So tell us about a little bit about you and what led you to starting Tiffany Co Design Studio.
So I originally went to college to be a graphic designer. That's always what I wanted to do, and quickly found out that that's a very, very versatile skill to have. Like you can do a lot of things with it. And so originally my idea was to do something where I could stay at home with my kids.
Hmm.
And um, that has looked different over the years. I originally started a print and card business. I had that for 8 years, and that was fulfilling during that time of my life. I really enjoyed being creative in that way. But then it just kind of wasn't fulfilling anymore. And I was feeling like there was something else that I wanted to do, but it just, nothing was coming. And this is going to kind of sound cliche by now, but like 2020
Yeah.
January 2020, before everything went crazy. Just some, just like my personal life, my husband's um, career. He was at that time going to school to be a helicopter pilot, and it was just so slow. Like it was just taking so long. We just kept hitting all these different roadblocks, and I was just feeling out of control. Like, what is going on? I had a breakdown. I was just like, I don't know what to do, and just really upset. And um, fast forward to April 2020, where everything is shut down. We're all just home. And
Yeah. That
and
collective pause we
yeah,
all had to
let's just
take.
have a minute.
Yes.
And and the thought came to me, we could all use positivity right now.
Hmm.
Like, I would just love to like design some uplifting words, quotes, something I could share on social media that's just uplifting and inspirational and positive. So
Hmm.
that's when I started creating these, yeah, just Instagram quote designs. And I thought, man, I could like create these as little template packs and sell them.
Hmm.
So that's what I started doing from April to all through the summer. I created maybe about 15 different packs, and it consumed a lot of my time, but it was just so fulfilling, and I just was really enjoying what I was doing.
Hmm.
And then it came to my attention that these were not customizable, and people would love to change the colors, change the fonts to match their brands, to whatever business they had to share. And so then I was trying to figure that out. I had to pivot, and soon found the design platform Canva, where you
Hmm.
can design things and people can then customize them themselves. It's really easy to share, so they can customize it. So then I had to redo everything in Canva. And that took a minute, but then it also, another pivot happened during that time, was like, okay, well, people are wanting more than just quotes to share. Like they want something like educational that they can share with their audiences, and something like a connection factor, where they're actually adding more value to their
Hmm.
audiences. And so I started creating packs, template packs that would fill those needs. But then I was getting imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to create these packs that are supposed to, you know, create change and results in this person's business, when I don't even know how social media works and how this would could help them. And so then I took a course, a social media, how it all works type of a course, and well, several of those to teach
Hmm.
me, so then I could make these actually, provide a service to others. And so
Hmm.
there was all these little pivots during that first year of setting me up to where I am now, to where it's all just template packs designed for life coaches, because that's the just the niche I chose, and can go into that later. But it's just how these templates are intentionally designed to
Hmm.
provide results for coaches. They're not just pretty words, pretty quotes anymore.
Hmm.
It's just intentional design to help them
Hmm.
have results.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have to commend you for just like following what you felt like you needed to do. And I don't know how many entrepreneurs I've talked to on the podcast who've had kind of like that moment during the pandemic where it was really difficult, but either they lost their job or they just had a moment where they just knew they needed to do something more. And, really amazing things came out of those moments. So I love sharing those stories. And, it's something we're all still dealing with. We're still dealing with the aftermath of that time. So I love to hear the positive things that came out of it. And so many of us had those moments. Like,
Mhm.
oh, we just had to do something that, contributed to others feeling better and doing better. So I find it so interesting that you did pick the niche of, creating resources for life coaches, and I find that interesting. And I'd love to hear your perspective on why you chose that niche and the importance that you see in people having a life coach. And, so yeah, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so actually, I have a good friend of mine who is a life coach, and she reached out to me. She's like, "Hey, I would
Mhm.
really love your help with
Mhm.
creating some templates where I can
Mhm.
customize them and put them on my social media." And so she reached out in that way, and that kind of jogged some other ideas of how I could help with these
Mhm.
templates. And then it pretty much we're still working together now. Like I am her
Mhm.
social media manager. Side note, like that has nothing to do with this, but where I've been working with her on her social
Mhm.
media and how to reach out to her audience and creating content and graphics for that. So, but kind of like in return, we were doing a trade where she would, give me coaching and I would design
Mhm.
stuff for her. And
Mhm.
I was just noticing the just how helpful it was to have this coaching. Like
Mhm.
one coaching session is just life-changing, really.
Mhm.
It sounds crazy, but everyone knows, like even just going to therapy one time is just so amazing. And so ever since then, I've just had this deep belief that everyone needs therapy and life coaching.
Yeah, I think about my own entrepreneurial journey and working with coaches myself, and I try to highlight for people that we are all just one quote or statement or piece of information away from a breakthrough to a higher level of understanding and consciousness. And it is so true. It sounds crazy.
Mhm.
But anybody who has been through any type of coaching or worked on personal development really understands the power of words. So, what you're doing and what you're creating is important in that it's helping coaches communicate and freeing up their time to be able to focus more on their clients and less on you know curating their message, because it's not physically intensive. And what we talk about on the podcast too is really managing those things that take your mental energy, not just your
Mhm.
physical energy. um, so can you talk about the ways that your resources help coaches?
Well, yeah, again, coaches' number one pain point is social media. Like they don't want to
Mm,
be on it. They don't want to be using their time to be on it or creating content. It's like the furthest thing that they want to do, but they know it's helpful for their
right.
business. And so there's
Mhm.
just this like internal war
Right.
of social
Yes.
media.
I think that's any business owner, but yes, for sure. When you're like on a mission to help people, it's like, oh, I gotta deal with this. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Right.
so I was just like, I'm in this like just small bubble of life coaches, just meeting different people, and like that's what they all were saying is like they just don't like it.
Oh.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I was just feeling like, man, like I believe in this so much. Like it's so helpful for people. If I can free up
Mm-hmm.
5, 10 hours of their time every week So they're
Mm-hmm.
able to grab one or two more
Mm-hmm.
clients and help those people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like so much yes.
Right. Yeah. And I can definitely, as somebody who does coaching myself, it is hard to, be able to say the right thing and curate the right thing and also help people. And any way that you can streamline that, it just helps so much. So, I know that you've shared with me some of the things that your clients have said about the ways that your resources have helped them. But do you want to share like some of the results that they've kind of experienced with using your templates and your resources?
Yeah, the biggest one is just how much time they're saving
Yeah.
because I'm a, well-versed graphic designer. I know these tools and I'm very quick. I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I've got the skill set, it still
Mm-hmm.
takes me 20, 30 hours of my time to create one template pack. And that's me, knowing exactly what I'm doing and being really quick and fast. So just
Mm-hmm.
imagine those who maybe aren't as quick and savvy with these design software tools. It's hard, And so
Mm-hmm.
if they're able to just switch out the text, switch out the colors, because these templates, they come with like not just filler text,
Mm-hmm.
it's like actual useful
Mm-hmm.
questions
Yeah.
and content that you will actually use as a life coach. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're not having to spend, hours of time coming up with content ideas. It's ready to go. Like they literally just
Mm-hmm.
have to switch out the text and the color and maybe some other elements that they're choosing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that alone just saves them hours of time because the foundation is built for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just making these little tweaks. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
been the biggest takeaway from people
Right.
who have bought these is just how much of a time saver it is.
Right. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I always say becoming a business owner really changes your relationship with time, and suddenly you're trying to accomplish so much more. And especially as a new business owner or a solo entrepreneur, you're wearing the marketing hat.
Mhm.
You're trying to fulfill your customers' needs. You're trying to do it all. So that just realizing you don't have to do it all and there are resources. And I love about your templates that Canva is so easy to use and you can create your own branding. It's so easy to share. I don't know of many business owners that aren't using Canva, but if you're not, it's super easy. It's so, and they have helpful videos and things like that, but it's so intuitive and you can create your own brand guide that helps you like whenever you click on something that you've purchased or you're creating on your own, you can just quickly incorporate your own brand colors and brand fonts and all that kind of stuff. So super easy to use, user friendly. And I really loved, I saw that you had like a holiday pack, and because the holidays are insane for me, and I'm like, I definitely need to get that because oh my gosh, that is the craziest time of year. And I feel like I am on a treadmill at that point at the end of the year. I'm trying to do so much at the holidays. And as moms, I have a daughter who has a birthday a week before Christmas. I'm like,
Oh, me
clearly this
too.
was
Yeah.
not planned. like, so I am looking forward to getting that and using it for sure. But yeah, so what I found it really interesting and too that you kind of you make it simple on your focus of your resources and the templates that you have. So can you talk about like the primary pillars of like some of the templates that you have for coaches? Because I thought that for me was like, ooh, I really like that simple approach.
hmm So every social media post should hit one of these targets. There's three, four-ish. There's educational,
Mm-hmm.
connection, entertainment, and marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
I say three or four-ish because you're not always in marketing mode. So
Right.
um, every post you post should be hitting one of those targets. And
Mm-hmm.
so every template that I create hits
Mm-hmm.
at least one or more of those targets. And so you're
Mm-hmm.
always going to be hitting those with
Mm-hmm.
any of the templates that you use of mine because
Mm-hmm.
they're intentionally designed with those targets in mind.
I have been a solo entrepreneur for more than a decade. I've owned a travel business. Today is my 3-year anniversary. I've consumed a lot of marketing content, and I really don't think that somebody has explained it as simply as that. So I think that that's so helpful. Usually they get in the weeds and we just get overwhelmed. I know me personally, I do because I'm trying to juggle so many things, but I, I just think that that's so helpful. And there's like this magic three is like a number that our brain can handle.
Yeah, it's like just three. That's it.
Right, right. It's like you should have 5 or 7 or, multiple posts a day. And like, it's like you just kind of get to this sense like, I am never going to be doing good enough with my marketing on social media. So, like, I'm always going to feel like I'm not doing enough or
Mhm.
well enough. So, I haven't seen content like yours just kind of cut through the noise as much, and I mean that sincerely. Um, so I really appreciate that about the resources that you have, and you have like a guide for using content planning and things like that, and that's something that I endeavor to get better at, more
Mhm.
consistent at for sure. So I really love that, in creating systems as much as possible and helping, incorporate those to do that. So what do you talked about, trying to hit those three kind of objectives with your social media posts. So what do you think that we get wrong or we need to work on the most, or that you find when we're trying to market it our businesses?
Well, I feel like, yeah, like you said, there's not really a lot. When people are coming into this just
Mm-hmm.
as a person, they haven't had any educational background in marketing. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard. It's hard to just figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the probably the thing people get wrong the most. I feel weird saying
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, we're not here judging, but it's like if from looking at what you see, if you could just be like, oh, maybe if you made this tweak, it would be so
Yeah,
much better. I don't want to be like judgmental, it's after all, it's just social media, but yeah,
I like that. It's just social media. You don't need to like
right.
beat yourself up about it. But
Yeah.
yes, if people could tweak this one thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, you would find a lot more success. It would be just sticking to your branding.
Mm.
So pick 5 to 7 colors, no more
Mm-hmm.
than seven. It just is too much
Mm-hmm.
if you pick more than seven. But 5 to 7 colors,
Sure.
pick one font, maybe two,
Mm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
and then just use those elements in everything that you is around your business
Mm-hmm.
and your content. Because when people are scrolling,
Mm-hmm.
they've got less than 10 seconds to make a choice if they're gonna scroll by.
Mm-hmm.
And in that 10 seconds, they can just by color alone, they can
Mm-hmm.
immediately recognize, oh, that's so and so's business because
Mm-hmm.
her colors are, purple, turquoise, and blue. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
that person.
Mm-hmm.
And our brains just subconsciously make these connections
Mm-hmm.
without us even knowing it. And so
Oh
that's
yeah.
just the power of branding is just as soon as people see how
Mm-hmm.
cohesive it is and how
Mm-hmm.
it's always the same, they'll just immediately recognize it as you. And if
Mm-hmm.
they are loving your content and they value it and they resonate with it,
Mm-hmm.
then they will stick around and they will be part of your audience. And whenever they are scrolling and
Mm-hmm.
see one of your posts come up, they're gonna stop and be like, "Ooh, this girl, she knows what she's talking about, and I always get something from her.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stick around and see what she has to say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one of those minor tweaks that makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. And I think that consistent branding makes you more trustworthy. Like they feel like they get to know you and it just kind of represents who you are. And I just kind of thought of this question. I know we didn't talk about this before, but do you have any tips for somebody kind of choosing their branding or kind of knowing what direction they want to go? Because when I talk with clients, that is like people literally, it's like too many options. There's too many things. So do you have any quick tips for somebody on who might be struggling with branding or rebranding?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually something I offer is a
Mm-hmm.
like just a quick branding consult.
Mm-hmm.
But what I tell clients is make a Pinterest board, like just,
Mm-hmm.
of your business, go to Pinterest and
Mm-hmm.
then just scroll through and anytime you see something you like, pin it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be clothes, decor, home, interior, art, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
pin what you're attracted to and you like.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to that board and
Mm-hmm.
just see like what's kind of a common theme. Maybe there's
Right.
certain colors that you were gravitating towards. And maybe there's, just certain elements that just
Mm-hmm.
seem to be a common thread. And then from there, you can get a better idea of, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is like something I really love. Like I actually do love like this monochromatic blue hues of just
Mm-hmm.
like navies and blues and light blues and you
Mm-hmm.
know, let's go with that. And
Mm-hmm.
so that could be a great starting point because yes, it does get
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming and you
Mm-hmm.
can go to like Canva or other places and have like branding done for you,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, if it's not you and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like you or represent you, it's going to get
Mm-hmm.
old, it's going to fade out, and you're just going to want to keep switching it out, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to want to stay consistent with it.
Yeah. I actually had somebody on the podcast who mentioned that they went through multiple rebrands until they consulted a professional
Yeah.
who like really was able to help them hone in on exactly who they were and the message they wanted to convey with their brand. So if you're struggling with that, definitely reach out to a professional because I think it can just be very time consuming and constantly fidgeting with your website or whatever, and not doing those things that move the needle when somebody can just really help you focus on, getting it done and doing it well. And, you know, so you can do the important stuff like coaching or whatever it is that you do. So I would love to talk about you mentioned earlier you had imposter syndrome. And I just, every mom that I talk to on the podcast, I started this podcast because I didn't feel good enough. And I kept running into moms who didn't feel good enough. And we give life and we keep people alive. And it's so complexing to me how we don't have that as something to give us more confidence, but somehow it makes us feel less confident. I don't understand why, but I would love to hear about, when you started your business, some of those mindset blocks that you encountered and how you kind of worked through those.
Right. So for me, it's getting past imposter syndrome is taking action. And so
Yeah.
when I felt like, who am I to tell people how to post on social media and what works and what doesn't?
Mhm.
I took a course and learned
Mhm.
about it. And I can
Mhm.
say pretty confidently that I know the ins and outs of Instagram. I'll just say
Right.
that. I say
Mhm.
social media as a blanket, but it's really
Um,
just Instagram. Um,
mm.
so for me, it's about taking action.
Mhm.
If if there's something that's out of my control, it is, more of the mentality, repetition type of
Mm.
deeper work, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where it gets hard, but it's worth
Mm-hmm.
it when you are able to work through that and get thoughts out, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of do that personal coaching, or see a coach
Yeah.
who can help you unravel those thoughts and
Yeah.
understand, where they're coming from and why they may not, be serving you. So,
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I think the best coaches help you learn how to be your own coach.
mhm.
Because, it's not a one and done thing. It's something that you continually have to work on. Like, somebody doesn't get into shape and go, okay, great, now I'm done. I don't have to work out the rest of my life. And for some reason, we kind of think our tenacity with our mindset just doesn't require that same type of dedication or work, but it definitely does. I mean, it's definitely, it gets, I think it kind of gets easier, or that's been my experience, where you kind of have more memory on how it is to kind of combat those imposter feelings. But I had a guest who said once that confidence is earned. And I think that that's so true. And that's definitely, through action, you earn it for sure. So, one thing I love too is you mentioned how you took some courses that helped you learn where you needed to feel more confident. So there was an assessment there. I would love to hear about some of those things that you put your focus on that benefited you the most in your business. Because I think people don't realize, when you do focus and assess where you need to work, what's going to work for them. Like, there's so many options, and so I like to hear, some things that work for business owners.
Yeah, I feel like something that's becoming more of a thing is course burnout.
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's just so many online courses out there
Mm-hmm.
telling people how to do such and such.
Mm-hmm.
And while I believe in courses, I've
Mm-hmm.
taken many online
Mm-hmm.
courses and I've benefited from them. There does come a time where you need to stop
Right.
taking
You could
courses.
definitely get into this, like, I need to learn. And then if you don't make any time to implement, for sure.
Yeah, so there does come a time where you just got to stop and then start taking action.
Mm-hmm. Very good point. So were there any other things other than taking courses that really benefited you? Did you listen to podcasts? Did you do anything else that just kind of took you from, zero to making more progress in your business?
Oh, for sure. Like podcasts, I'm always listening to entrepreneur podcasts just because it just kind of keeps your head in the game
Yeah.
and brings ideas to the table on things that you may have missed or things you
Mm-hmm.
can address. And I feel like, at least for me, podcasts are an easier way to address changes and pivots
Yeah.
in businesses because it's usually just like a few little pieces of information. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is something I am constantly, continuously doing and working on my mindset. But business is because it is something I am naturally good at. I am naturally creative. I am a natural designer. So that part comes easy to me. And so that's not really something I've um,
Oh.
had to stop and learn. It was more just, okay, let's get down this social media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there it was just I'm just able to just create and go.
Mm-hmm. So, I know that you're juggling all of these. I love to hear, one of the things that I hear the most that hold moms back is they don't know how they're going to juggle being a mom and running a business. One of the things that I hear the most is moms having this idea that they can't start and grow their businesses while being a mom, that they just can't wrap their head around how they can be a good mom and be an entrepreneur. So, what are some of the things that you do to help juggle those, and how has it affected being a mom, running a business?
Well, this kind of goes back to my breakdown of January 2020.
Hey,
I
when you have
just
a
felt out
breakdown,
of,
you can only go up, right?
yes. So I just felt out of control. I needed
Right.
some control.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that was like, that was my main thing for wanting to start another business and to start this business is to feel in control and to feel like I had something to provide
Hmm.
and me busy. I mean, moms are busy, yes, as it is, but it just helped me to find more fulfillment in my life.
Mm. Hmm.
And so again, like if moms, I can totally understand moms who feel like they don't have the time and they need to focus on children. Sometimes
Hmm.
children have own special needs of their own and they need to focusing on that. But if they are needing more fulfillment out of motherhood and parenthood, I highly suggest pursuing what it is that they want. And kids are resilient and they will find that if mom's happy
Hmm.
and mom is finding, happiness in these
Hmm.
other ways, it helps them to see their mom in a different light and it helps them to
Hmm.
see that they can pursue things that they want to do.
Hmm.
And um it does kind of come back to, finding that balance
Hmm.
of what works and what doesn't. And
Hmm.
that can be a challenge of knowing where to put the most effort into things and know that it's okay if you're working and putting effort into your passion, fulfillment,
Hmm.
creativity, outlet, anything like that. It's okay if you're putting in like 5 hours a week.
Hmm.
If that's all you're able to do
Hmm.
and give, and it
Hmm.
still is fulfilling, like that is excellent.
Hmm.
You don't need to feel like it needs to be a full-time or part-time job. It doesn't. You can
Right.
be fulfilled and accomplish the things that you want
Hmm.
on a lower time.
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
um if it's the nap time, it totally works. Many women, there's proof out there, many of women have been doing this for years where they're just getting in work during the nap time hours.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think what you said is so critical on many levels because it's important to create the business that works for you. And it sounds like you had to make that change. And then also, I hear this myth all the time too, like, oh, you're not a serious entrepreneur unless you're full time and you're all in. And that is a myth too. I don't care if you commit 2 hours a week. There's no time limit. There's, what is going to work for you and what your goals are for success. They're all different. Just being able to pay for a babysitter might be success for you. And the thing is, too, with kids, I mean, kids are, I have a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old now. And I look back and realize those seasons where I was frustrated and was limited, they're pretty short. I mean, they're constantly growing and evolving. And, if you're finding you can't devote that much time to a business now, that may change in 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatnot. Um, so for sure, I think that is such a good thing to remember about starting and growing a business. So, what are some of the tips that maybe you use to juggle it? Because I don't believe in work life balance or business family balance. It doesn't exist. Don't listen to anybody who says it exists. We just have to like maneuver it all every day, whatever happens. So, what are some of the tips that you find that might be helpful?
I love how you said that because it is so true. Because just as a mom in general, you are putting on the different hats for the family. You're
Right.
making appointments one day, you're cooking dinner, like it's all the things all the time. And so
Mm-hmm.
the best thing I've found for the work-life balance
Right.
is when when you're doing work,
Mm-hmm.
be all in on work. Like mute your
Mm-hmm.
phone, like
Mm-hmm.
make sure maybe your kids are at school or they've got a babysitter or they're in front of the TV. Just make sure you're like all in
Mm-hmm.
during that time
Yeah.
with no other distractions. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you're done with your work, make sure you're all in on your family. You're not checking
Mm-hmm.
your work email, you're not
Yeah.
catching up on work texts, like
Right.
you're not thinking about different work. You are just all in on your family. And
Mm-hmm.
not only does that help you to be more mindful and to stay on task and all that,
Yeah.
but it really like lightens the mental load
Right.
because your brain isn't in all these places at all times. And so for me, that's been a game changer, honestly, is to just when I'm doing work, I'm all in on work. And when I'm with my kids, I am all in with my kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that I have to be purposeful about that too. And the benefits of that are, it makes your work time more rewarding, and it also makes your quality time with your family better too. We forget we always put ourselves last, especially when we're running a business and doing all the things. So, are there any things that you use to like reset, take time for yourself that helps you recharge?
I prioritize me time pretty regularly. I mean, I am an introvert, and that is something that you do need to prioritize as an introvert. You need to
Mm-hmm.
reach those batteries. And so that is something I am intentional about. And luckily for me, my work does help me have me time. It does
Mm-hmm.
recharge those batteries to design and have that outlet. And so I would hope that those who are wanting to have a business that, that can be an outlet as recharging their batteries. A coaching
Mm-hmm.
call is, a way to revitalize themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But if it isn't, just I would try to make it a priority to, read a book or take a nap,
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
that does help you recharge in that way.
Yeah, as a fellow introvert, I find that that's, sometimes can be difficult because a lot of the messages out there are kind of like things for extroverts, like go on a girls' night or do this or do, and I'm just like, that sounds like my worst nightmare. Uh, so yeah, I think that we don't think about doing those things, solitary things, especially as a mom, where, just having quiet time where somebody doesn't need a snack or or something from us can just be like life-giving. It's like,
Exactly.
oh gosh, I tell you. But, for any mom business owner listening to this podcast, is there any one takeaway that you hope that resonates with them that, if they don't remember one thing, focus on this?
Is yeah, if you're having a passion or if you're drawn to starting a business or having you just a more of a creative outlet,
Mm-hmm.
just do it. Just pursue it. Make it a priority. You won't regret it, honestly. Like if even if you fail and fall flat on your face and it doesn't work out, you will learn from it and you won't regret
Mm-hmm.
it. And so, and then, but honestly, I think you will fail. You will find lessons and things that'll help you in the long run. And so if there is something that you feel like you're drawn to, you feel like there's
Mm-hmm.
more for you, I would I would run to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in my experience, I don't know how it was for you. It's like the more you try to ignore it, the louder the calling gets. It's like you can't.
Yep.
You just have to do it. Well, I'm so excited about this conversation. I think it's so important because I'm passionate about especially moms that have young children. That can be especially a time where you feel like you don't have a lot of agency. You don't have a lot of opportunity to share your creativity or your skills and earn income. So, I mean, I'm so like, I love sharing stories of that because I'm sure there's somebody listening who doesn't think that that's possible for them. And it's so important for people to realize that that is possible. But I'm also excited about, partnering with you as a sponsor for the podcast because I love supporting moms. I love, supporting, especially with young children like yourself, helping that be possible. That's important to me and a mission on the podcast. So, can you tell listeners where they can check out all your amazing designs? And you have a special promo code for them when they shop at your store.
Yes. So visit Tiffany Co designstudio.com. And from there, I've got lots of different template packs. They range from like specific, where there's ones about goals or mindfulness or body positivity, to just kind of generalized packs where you mentioned the holiday pack, and
Mm-hmm.
there's like a Christmas one.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some more generalized packs that can fit many different businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, you can just check out what I have to offer and then use code Good Enough Mom at checkout to receive 20% off a template pack.
I love that. And so I will leave that information in the show notes. So if you're listening to this and you're doing something else, you can definitely find it there. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for talking with me and sharing your story and sharing your resources. I mean, you even have some great free resources, your blog, a lot of great content on your website too. So definitely make sure that you check that out. And I so appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Tiffany for connecting with me and introducing me to your amazing templates. And I so love sharing your story of being a mom to young kids who's finding a way to share her gifts with the world and really improve the lives of coaches and in turn helping to improve the lives of their clients. I mean, it's just this whole circle. So it's such an honor to have you as a sponsor. And I hope that everybody will check out, if you're a coach or you're thinking about becoming a coach and marketing is really overwhelming you, check out Tiffany's resources. I will leave them linked below. And if you use my link, you go ahead and get that discount that we talked about. And then you can also go to my website, mombusinesscoach.com/partners. And then you'll also see Tiffany's information there. So please have the most amazing week. And remember, there is an entire community out there that is cheering you on, so proud of you, here to support you. So know that. I mean, my last week alone was so full of such incredible women and such incredible conversations. My bucket could be full for a very long time just in that week alone. So I am so touched and humbled by the people who reach out to me, the people who want to be guests. So there is so much more incredible content coming your way. So please remember to be sure to subscribe. Be sure that you share this episode. That is how everything just keeps helping. It's how you pay it forward. It's how, you just don't know who needs to hear what was said in this episode today. And I'd be so grateful if you shared it. So if you would like to reach out to myself or Tiffany, we will leave all of our links below. You can reach out to me at mombusinesscoach.com. And More details on my course are coming soon. And thank you again for being with me. Thank you for listening. I cannot wait to talk to you next week. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.